Money and Me on Your Money, only on Money FM 89.3.
AI is changing how we work. It's streamlining processes, allowing for greater tools for employee engagement. But what does this all mean for us if we're employees looking for a new job, or if maybe we're in the PR field? How is predictive analytics changing the whole job search process? Are HR professionals using AI to make data-driven decisions right here in Singapore? And what's available to reduce inefficiencies all around at the workplace? We're exploring the profound impact of AI on HR, offering insights and strategies for job seekers and HR professionals with DNP. He's D N Prasad, Senior Director for People and Organization from GovTech, and he's the President of the Singapore HR Institute. Welcome. So I'm going to start with a broad question for you, DNP. How is AI changing HR?
It's a great question to start with, Michelle, and lovely to be here again. If you allow me, I want to start by sharing a couple of pointers about broadly how we are looking at AI shifting in the market, and then I'll come down specifically to what we are seeing in HR. Now, there's a big myth out there that AI is replacing jobs. Let me start with calling the elephant in the room. Now, my view is AI is not going to be replacing jobs. Humans with better AI capabilities who use AI better will displace humans who are not necessarily skilling themselves on a regular basis. And even today, humans are displacing humans in the workplace. So I wanted to put that out there for all our listeners and start with that as a context. Now, if you use AI and Gen AI well, it helps the organization to amplify the effectiveness. So that's broadly proven. AI is moving from mere execution of dedicated tasks to learning and training itself to data, propelling the generation of the other advanced technologies. And we were talking about that a little while ago. So some data points, 55% of the employees use AI at least once a week at work. And this is a study by Oliver Wyman from 2024.
That's a global study?
It was a global study.
Okay.
And there's a study by EY which says that their AI budgets at about 500 million just to secure AI infrastructure for innovation and capability building, and then about 20 million for upskilling just in 2024. So there is a lot of investment. It's all around us. Now, if I then double click to what are we seeing in HR today? Growing adoption. About 92% of the HR leaders plan to increase their use of AI in at least one area of HR. What we are also seeing is that applications using AI or even Gen AI is being used across the people life cycle, if you will. So starting right from attraction and acquisition recruiting all the way to engagement, communication, learning, creating learning paths, and exit management as well. Mm-hmm. But for me, the most important thing that AI is helping us do are a couple. One is bias mitigation. So using AI tools, we can address the huge issue of unconscious bias that creeps into human decisions to a large extent. So we can bring objectivity well. Second one is it is definitely enhancing decision making. So make no mistake, I still think people will make people-related decisions, but helped by or aided by the use of AI analytics, as you rightly mentioned, the predictive analytics and the insights that comes thereof. So there's a broad spectrum of shifts that we are observing, slowly but definitely surely.
So I was reading a Japanese white paper, and this to the point that adoption of generative AI is not homogenous. So we know Asia is not homogenous by any means. And so in Japan, we're only seeing 40% of individuals saying that they use Gen AI on a daily basis. 40% say they do not think that it has relevance to their daily lives. So over in Japan, the attitude is concern, a little bit of conservatism, and great deal of emphasis on the responsible development of AI. But for us here in Singapore, I think almost everybody uses at least ChatGPT or has tried it once in their lives. And the point that I get from what you just mentioned is very important to get rid of that fear element that people feel about AI. The question is, in many people's minds, is AI going to be my coworker or is it going to take my job? And you say, assume that you have to skill yourself in knowing how to use it.
Absolutely.
So you keep your job.
Absolutely. So there are 2 points that you mentioned which really stands out for me, Michelle. One is about the culture. Yeah, and even today I maintain that we shouldn't be forcing technology, and that could be AI, Gen AI, etc., for the sake of tech. There has to be readiness. And eventually it's all about people that we carry forward with. So tech for the sake of tech will not work.
Yes.
So I often ask, and the statement that I use is tech managing us or are we managing tech? That could be a good starting point for us.
Okay.
So long as it aids in building more effectiveness in a reasonable way in the organization, keeping in mind the readiness of the organizations. In a way, when you're talking about the Japan example, one, of course, it's cultural nuances as well at play. The second one is if we look at that as an organization, it's their readiness at this point in time. So I'm not surprised that there will be differences. The second point that you made, which really stands out for me, is the use of responsible AI. And then even with widespread use, the responsible use of AI or even Gen AI is going to be hugely prevalent. And to me, it's an ecosystem play. And when I say that, it's a collective effort involving striking a balance between innovation and safeguarding against misuse. The evolving policies which the government will have to take care of, emerging best practices from the industry, the responsible use of prioritizing privacy security by the users themselves, and then the pedagogy, the content, the education, the awareness by the academia. So you see the ecosystem coming together, and that's going to be, that's not a one-time play. It's an effort in a continuum that will continue to have to be focused on.
Great high-level insights. I want to bring it down to the level of the everyday person listening to us right now, wondering why the many CVs he's submitting through LinkedIn or some other platform isn't getting him the sort of responses that maybe he's used to with written CVs. So to what extent are job seekers having to understand how algorithms or bots are determining whose resume gets picked up in today's workplace, and what can we as job seekers do to maximize our chances of success?
Fantastic. I take this back to the earlier point that I made, that it is irrespective of how much we use it on a daily basis or not, trying to understand what the landscape is and how is it affecting our day-to-day work. And in this case, a job seeker sending a resume, whether it's making the cut or not, is going to be important. It's about building awareness and being educated about it. Talking specifically about the job seekers, I mean, there is an increase in the need of job seeker to understand how the recruiters are using the applicant tracking system, the ATS. ATSs today are using AI to screen resumes. So most of it will be based on the algorithms that would be created. It involves scanning resumes for keywords, qualifications, relevant experience. So from a job seeker's perspective, it will be important for them to understand what all this means and then structure their profile which does meet the requirement of the job. So I often had a view that you should not be customizing your resume too much for jobs, but that's changing. In fact, I'm changing my own perspective there. Because of the use of AI and in use of algorithms, it might be important for us to structure the resumes to what the job demands using keywords. And then it's not just blatantly cutting and pasting what's given on the job description, but the relevancy, the relatability of the work that we've done to the keywords that's mentioned there. So that's going to be important. Formatting of the resume becomes important too. You're keeping it simple, keeping it machine readable. The fancy graphs and pictures might not necessarily work anymore, but how do we keep it simple? That's going to be important. And then you're beyond just tailoring resumes, etc. I mean, there is still a huge value in the recruiting world, in our world with networking, and it's not always sending resumes through an ATS. So connect on LinkedIn, meet people, send through referrals. Referrals always gets a slightly higher currency in the organization, always. So it's a combination of what I consider online and offline methods. So high touch and high tech are both important.
That's a great point and really concrete strategies that we can all use. Thank you, DNP. Along the interview processes, though, are we seeing more recorded interviews being used by HR practitioners in order to save time in the process?
Yes, there are a lot of organizations which have adopted interviews through tech platforms, especially the early rounds. There are applications that are in the market today where we can use them for video interviews. You get a set of questions, you're recording it, you have all the guidance that's given to you about how do you record it, how do you respond, and you send it out. And then there are systems, machines analyzing the responses, analyzing the facial expressions, the body language, even the sentiments of the candidate at a particular interview. Let's say I pause with a question. I know I'm thinking, or I know I'm not completely prepared. So those are some of the insights that come in as well. It has been used. It continues to be used. To me, the biggest advantage of that is to be able to sieve the volumes and bring it down to a reasonable manageable volume that can still go through the face-to-face interviews with experienced panelists and interviewers.
This is so interesting. D N Prasad is Senior Director, People and Organization, GovTech, and President of SHRI. Can you give us a sense of the present landscape here in Singapore for HR professionals? What are some of the tools being used to simplify processes that are already being used by progressive companies here?
I'll give a couple of examples across the people supply chain, as I spoke about earlier. If we look at recruiting and retention, and then they go hand in hand. So it's a pipeline. We cannot, as organizations, just continue recruiting if our retention is not good. Then it becomes an open-ended pipe. So we're hiring from one end and losing people in the other. So to me, it comes hand in hand. Now, when it comes to talent acquisition, we just spoke about the use of ATS and resume screening, even early interviewing, etc. That are being deployed through systems, machines, and AI. Workforce planning is another one. There are AI models that can help the organizations plan an ideal workforce. What skills do we need and what levels? Where are our skills today? What are the gaps in the organization, etc. Performance insights as well. There are performance management systems, but we can use AI and tech to get insights about where the clusters of top performers are, or what are common issues that our performers are facing. Where, and then throw in predictive analytics to it. Who are the potential attrites in the organization, and then so we can customize our engagement approach, customize our retention approach depending on the data that we get. Now, when it comes to learning, and that's another big space, we did speak about skill gaps. So the strategic workforce planning, as I mentioned, that could be planned using AI, but then the next step is how do we identify what programs do our employees need to go in for, so that the personalized learning journeys for every employee can be generated with the insights that we have, with the data that we already have. And that's going to be very powerful, the learning pathways. And then adaptive learning, we can also use AI, and it is being used to even develop content or tweak content to make it more customized.
Wow.
And then the other big portion for me is, and then we did speak a little bit about it just before we started our chat, this is about engagement.
Yeah.
That's very powerful as well. So personalization of engagement with segments of people. I mean, even today, offline as well, we look at our engagement survey, we look at our Snap pulse surveys, figure out, okay, that there are these sets of employees in the organization who have spent, say, between 3 and 4 years. They have a common set of challenges. We need to address them slightly differently than people who spent longer, or people who are at a different level than people who are starting off their careers. Now, we can use AI to further drill down on that to make sure that we can even develop personalized plans for them. Now, A lot of organizations are already using chatbots. I mean, that's a given these days. For the early first line questions and getting all the responses and leading them through intranets where they can get information, etc. And that's as common as having coffee these days. Employee surveys, both the annual and the the SNAP surveys that we were talking about. Remote work optimization as well. I mean, through systems that we have. Today is hybrid. We often talk, unfortunately, we still talk about X number of days at work and X number of days at home. Hybrid is really the seamless integration between the physical and the digital. At any given point in time, there will be people working from home, there'll be people working from office. So how do we seamlessly integrate? And AI can help us do that. Recording notes, summary of meeting minutes and what have you. I think the landscape is very vast. Again, to your earlier point, do we all have to go and launch everything together? The answer is no. It again comes back to the readiness.
Yes.
If we are planful in executing it, depending on what's important for the organization at any point in time, the possibilities are tremendous today.
Yeah, HR, some say, is helping to wring out value from data like never before for organizations.
Absolutely, and it's always been the case. It should be the case. People decisions should always be driven by strong analytics and insights coming out of analytics.
Yeah. To your point about diminishing bias, that's exactly how it's doing that.
Correct.
What are the limits, though, of AI for job seekers or HR professionals that is useful to keep in mind?
Now,
The limitations.
we did speak about the responsible usage of AI at the earlier point in time. So that would always have to be relevant as a conversation. Then the reason I say that is there are privacy-centric approaches that we need, security measures, the bias mitigation, and then most importantly, how do we build awareness for the responsible usage? There is this useful conversation about how much should we educate people around it. Should everybody be trained to use AI or they're all AI engineers? The answer is no. The half-life of skills is also, it's always good to have programming as a skill, to know how AI works, or to know at least how I can use AI. Can I use Copilot to prepare for this interview? Yes. I'm still here sitting with you and having this conversation.
Yes.
So that's what I'm used by. I mean, there is a merit to how much I can use, and I should know what I can use it for and where should I stop.
You still got to know your stuff. You might have Copilot's points in front of you.
Absolutely. Otherwise, I cannot pass through Michelle's interview with Michelle with just data points from Copilot.
And similar for the job seeker. You can use AI up to so far to customize that resume, but at the end of the day, you're sitting across a human being. And so the soft skills of being able to listen and to converse and to present yourself verbally still matters.
Absolutely. It's still the person that we are hiring.
People still hiring people.
Yes.
At least for now.
At least for now.
Tom Friedman, the American columnist who I've had the pleasure of interviewing one-on-one, he wrote The World is Flat. He has said that for today's job seeker, learning or picking up skills to do with AI is like training for the Olympics without knowing what sport you're training for. It's just so much.
That's very profound and seems like the right articulation, Michelle. Yeah.
But you're saying, listen, pick up the skills that you think are useful to you. Employers have a sort of responsibility to make sure that is being done as well internally.
Yes. In fact, so going back to the aspect of education, the half-life of skills is shrinking dramatically. In tech, it's literally about 12 to 18 months. So unless our education and training, everything keeps up the pace of development of AI, it's always going to be challenging to educate and train everybody real time, which is why I place emphasis on creating continuous awareness over training and educating everybody. So there's always going to be a catch up. And then not everyone might be interested. It might not be relevant in exactly the same way for every profession and every professional. So awareness becomes super critical. And then, of course, there should be continuous education and training that's available, and it's an individual's choice to pick up what they want and how much they want of it.
Always remember that tech is a tool and not a solution in itself.
Absolutely.
So you got to solve for the problems
Absolutely.
of your organization when it comes to HR. But always be aware that there's just so much in terms of potential for allowing for engagement, as you say, people to really connect with organizations in new ways. I'm wondering if you're seeing anything with regards to the transformation of companies' intranets. Not all the same, but some are more graveyard-like than others. People don't like going there because, it just doesn't feel welcoming. How is AI transforming that space, do you think?
Again, we spoke about chatbots earlier. That's the most common application that a lot of intranets are now deploying and using.
Really?
Just make sure that you type something and you at least get to that place in the graveyard.
Yeah, so more conversational
It's more
interface.
conversational.
I see.
Search, effective use of search in the intranets is definitely picking up. And then, of course, search is not just search anymore. It's also driven and enabled by AI. So I personally believe that intranets can be made more conversational and then can be better for search capabilities using AI.
Yeah, it can be a town hall, a real town hall, virtual.
And I have also seen some efforts, and we are doing this in GovTech as well. We've seen some early efforts to use a slew of intranet platforms for two-way communication as well. So it was one way for us. We could
like more broadcast. Yeah.
We could more broadcast, and then we are now shifting very intentionally to making it a conversational platform where we can have a dialogue with our GovTechies.
That's so interesting. So more like the way social media tends to display information, where I can interact with the information.
One is it has to be real time. We are heading towards that. Again, one step at a time. Early efforts. Yeah.
One step at a time. All right, your final thoughts for us, whether we're a listener, a person in HR, somebody looking for a job, what do we need to understand about AI and how it's transforming workplaces? What would you like us to keep in mind?
A couple of pointers that I would want to leave the listeners with, and thanks again for having me today, Michelle. One of the most important requirements for both the learning culture and for leaders is the intellectual curiosity and intellectual humility. I think today's world, with the advent of AI and Gen AI that's coming up, and then we spoke about awareness, we spoke about education, we spoke about responsible usage, without the intellectual curiosity to start with, and then intellectual humility in terms of how we show up and how we use, we won't be able to traverse in this longitudinal journey. That's a message that I'd want to leave for all the listeners, specifically in our community, HR professionals and HR leaders alike.
I like that. It's really positive. Instead of staying in fear, move to a space of curiosity.
Absolutely. And then that is also the skills that cannot be easily replaced by AI. Right. We have to bring that as human beings and individuals.
Yes, that's what makes us human. Can't think of a better place to wrap things up. D N Prasad, thank you so much for being with me this morning.
Thank you, Michelle. Thanks for having me.
Yes, D N Prasad, Senior Director, People and Organization, GovTech and President, SHRI. I'm Michelle Martin. This is Money and Me. Stay tuned for business news.
Money FM 89.3